Supposed to talk about it. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a rather unpopular take, I do believe, but cheers. If you don't want this show completely ruined for yourself, I recommend just don't watch the video. Just don't watch the video, because I'm going to tear it down. So, there's this assumption maybe that it's because of member berries, that it's just the show, especially episode 5, was just so cram-packed with nostalgia. Doesn't bother me. I would get in a vat of member berries, stomp that shit into wine, and happily drink it. I have no problem with member berries. That's what world building is for. You have all this great mythology, pull it in. Use it. Create that backdrop. That's what makes the world rich. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's a backdrop for an intriguing, powerful storyline with characters that we care about and that make sense, whose motivations make sense. So no. It has nothing to do with member berries. What I want to talk about initially, and most importantly, are the MacGuffins of the show. And there are 2 of them. Baby Yoda, clearly the primary MacGuffin. Well, it seemed like he was. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good MacGuffin. The reason the Mandalorian is in the position he is in is because of Baby Yoda. Everyone's after Baby Yoda. It creates the premise for the show, and it's a great MacGuffin, and he's adorable. Obviously, there's no arguing that Baby Yoda is this lovable freaking little thing. Not a problem. It's the second MacGuffin of the show that is a problem, and it's the tracking fobs. The tracking fobs drive the show's premise can't exist without it. Okay? The tracking fob allows targets to be located from apparently any distance, anywhere they may be. Doesn't matter. Nobody knows how they work. Nobody seems to have a clue how they work. Screen Rant. Wait, how do the Mandalorian's tracking fobs even work? Episode 4 of The Mandalorian transported the show's protagonist, the lone bounty hunter Mando, and his newly acquired sidekick, Baby Yoda, to a whole new planet far, far away from the client and his presumably dastardly plans. Yet, even on this quiet, sparsely populated world, the duo are located by a hostile bounty hunter using a tracking fob. This begs the question, how do the Mandalorian's tracking fobs even work? Well, the show hasn't explained it and likely won't explain it. But you know who should know how they work? You know who might know? The Mandalorian. You think? I mean, the Mandalorian, the guy who was, raised from a child into this religious cult of bounty hunters, trained to be this deadly solo warrior hunter. He's been using tracking fobs his entire career. The first episode of the season shows him using a tracking fob himself to locate Baby Yoda in a remote location. Are you seeing the problem? The moment he takes off with Baby Yoda and becomes wanted, he's a bounty hunter. He's been using tracking fobs. He's part of the guild. He knows how all this works. Doesn't he? The first thing he would be contemplating is, how do I solve this tracking fob problem? And there's only 2 options here. There's only two directions the show can take at this point, if it has any logic whatsoever. Number one, is there a way to counter the tracking fob? If anyone would know a way to do this, if there's some obscure, maybe it's a really difficult thing to do, but if anyone would know how to do it, it would be a Mandalorian, right? So that's option one. Presumably, there's no way to counter these things. I mean, the show has given no indication that there is. Mandalorian, it's never brought up in conversation. It's not on the table. So I guess we have to assume there is nothing you can do about tracking fobs. Okay. That leaves one option for the show. Literally one thing the Mandalorian can do at this point, which is find a spot to hunker down and face off against the people coming. What other option is there? Why isn't his instant plan of action should be, where can I hunker down? Do I have friends somewhere? Is there somewhere I can go where I might be able to defend myself? Are there people that who might want to help me in this? Can I create an alliance with a group that maybe also wants to protect Baby Yoda? Anything. Some kind of plan that makes sense. You're just gonna wander around knowing no matter where you go, you could get tracked. But it's like, it's not even in his head. In episode 4, there's even a point where he's like, yeah, this is a nice village. And, I think Baby Yoda could be happy here. Just let him be a kid for a while. It'll be lovely. Meanwhile, Kara, I could kick anything's ass Dune, is shooting the bounty hunter in the head because she knows how the fucking tracking fobs work. Right? She's on top of it. The Mandalorian doesn't even think about it. It's not even in his head. How is that possible? He used a tracking fob in the beginning of the show. So this makes absolutely... It breaks down the entire show. How can you respect this guy? He's clearly an idiot. He's a moron. He's incompetent. He has no idea what he's doing. How could you not think of this? Like, as a bounty hunter, if you're not trying to counter the tracking fob situation or basing your entire plan around the fact that you can be tracked, this entire show is nonsense. And that's where we're at. That's where this show exists. The Mandalorian is a complete moron. Okay? I don't even know. The tracking fob situation obliterates the show. But, let's go into episode 5 a bit, right? Because, just to further... It gets worse. I mean, in terms of the writing and the characters, the show is just bad. That's beyond this incredible problem of the tracking fobs. So, in episode 5, we've got Mandalorian leaving Baby Yoda on his ship alone again, not securing him. I don't know he puts him in this little space in the ship, but it's like, what? Is it just a push button to get out? I mean, he knows Baby Yoda has abilities. He could use the Force. I mean, he's seen it in action, but he's just gonna leave him there. And he has no idea who this woman is. She's a complete stranger. He doesn't know what she knows about his situation. Like, what is this? Why would he leave him? He's the MacGuffin of the show. He's the most important thing. And he's just like, I'm going to go into town, leave this kid here asleep. He's asleep. It's fine. No big deal. Again, he's an idiot. So he goes in. It's Tatooine. He goes into the bar and there's this guy. We'll just call them. I'm not going to bother looking up their names. I don't remember what they are. It doesn't matter. He's generic jackass. We'll call him generic jackass. And you know, he's like, he's trying to get into the guild. This is his first job. I mean, is this how the guild hires, first of all? Like, what is this? It doesn't really make the guild seem very threatening, does it? They're just random guys come in off the street and are like, hey, can I get in the guild? And they're like, yeah, sure, here, try this one. And it's like one of the deadliest assassins. It's like, sure, why not? Go for it. And does he not have any? What is this? It doesn't work for me. It doesn't make any sense. Who is this jackass? And then it will go right into a tracking fob problem again. Because for some damn reason, Mandalorian decides to work with this guy, even though he seems completely incompetent. Why would you go on a dangerous bounty hunting job with the guy you don't know, who seems incompetent, who has no experience, who could get you potentially killed? Why would he do this? And he initially was like, this woman's too dangerous. You're going to get yourself killed. But then he gives him the sob story. Well, it's my only way to get in the guild. Like, why would Mandalorian give a shit about that? Who is this guy? I thought he was a loner, a badass bounty hunter, bred to be like this stoic guy who works solo, and like, the characterization doesn't work. Why does he do everything everyone seems to ask him? Complete strangers. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense with who this character should be. But so he agrees for some reason to work with this guy. So Mandalorian asks him to give him the tracking fob. And obviously this guy thinks, well, why, if I do that, he could just ditch me, right? So he breaks the thing. And he says, don't worry, I've got it all memorized. Got it memorized. What does that even mean? What do you have memorized? Her current location? You have the target's current location memorized. What does that have to do with anything? How many hours is it from the time? I don't even know. I'm not going to go back and try and figure it out. But there is considerable time between when he agreed to help this dude and when they actually left on the land speeders. There's considerable time between these 2 points, right? There's time. So she didn't change her location? Do you know how do you know where she is now? Do you know how she's traveling? At what speed? At what rate is she traveling? And without the tracking fob, it's a vast open desert. This is so stupid. Now they have no way of tracking her. Okay, but no, doesn't matter. They're going to find her. Of course they are. Makes no difference. Yeah, this guy's just an idiot. There's no way this lifelong bounty hunter badass is going to agree to work with an incompetent jackass that could get him killed. It's not happening. It's not happening. You know what should have happened in the bar? He should have thumped him upside the head, took his tracking fob, and said, if you try to follow me, I'm going to kill you. That's the Mandalorian. To me, that's who this guy should be. What does he care about this idiot? He's got a more important job to do. Protect Baby Yoda. Oh, who's just somewhere. Who cares, right? Doesn't matter. Someone will take care of the fucking thing. Mandalorian is a little bitch, and he's an idiot. It's like he has no thoughts in his head other than, okay, I'll do what you want because you're a total stranger and you clearly don't know what you're doing. Absolute nonsense, people. And this is, the woman. She's going to take care of it. This is just here, I guess, to make you fall in love with Baby Yoda more because, irresistible. Which, yeah, love Baby Yoda. Great idea. Totally awesome idea. Love Baby Yoda. Typical Disney fashion. Completely ruined it. The show is bad. And just because there's this great idea at the core of it, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't save it. The show doesn't make any sense anymore. The main character is a moron that I can't respect. That I don't want to watch this guy fumble around like a jackass anymore. It doesn't interest me. And how does he know who this woman is or what she knows about his situation? Is there no intergalactic communication system? There's no alert out on this guy? He's this rare Mandalorian wearing armor nobody else has. Stands out like a sore thumb everywhere he goes. There's no alert system? This woman hasn't heard about this guy on the run? What is this? They have the most amazing technology ever. They could track their target across any distance through the galaxy, tracking fobs. But they don't have a communication system that can alert everyone that this guy's wanted. Like, how does he know she doesn't know that he's on the run and that she's already calling people? She's got Baby Yoda in her hands. A huge reward potentially for her. And it just doesn't matter. Don't think about it. Don't think about any of this. It's all complete garbage, people. It's so bad. And we have this character. Potentially great character. Doesn't matter. She's dead. Badass chick, dead. And there's this scene everybody's really kind of talking up because, generic jackass guy, Mr. Incompetent guy. Again, the Mandalorian agrees to go off. One of their land speeders destroyed, and they only have one, and they've got 3 people now. Mandalorian makes this joke like, "Oh, we could just drag you," and I'm like, "Yeah, why don't you? Why don't you just drag her? That sounds like something a Mandalorian would do, because you're cold-hearted sons of bitches. You're loner bounty hunters who just freeze people in carbonite all day. Yeah, why wouldn't you just drag her? No, like a little bitch again. He agrees to go off by himself to find something to transport this person with. What was she traveling on? Where is her stuff at, first of all? Was she just walking in the desert? Give me a break. She must have had a camp. She must have had a way she was traveling. Why didn't they go find that? People, there's no logic in this show. All of it is trash. It's garbage. So anyway, incompetent jackass, she tells him the whole story of the Mandalorian and how it would be in his best interest to take this guy in instead of her. And he's like, thanks for the tip. Boom, shoots her. And it's like, yeah, it was surprising. Like, okay, that was cool that you just had him do that. But what would have been a better idea? What would have been a better idea for this guy with no experience? It would have been to let the Mandalorian help him take this woman in, right? To get his access to the guild like he wanted without really having to do anything himself. And then when he goes to get the money for this bounty, he could, tell them the situation and set up a trap for the Mandalorian with more people. He already knows Mandalorian is far superior than him. He can't take him by himself. What does he think he's going to do against this guy? With blaster-proof armor and much more fighting. What is he going to do? No, forget, shoot her. He's going to go take on the Mandalorian by himself. And wow, how do you think that went? Everyone in the show is an idiot, except maybe Cara Dune and the one woman in the village. The Mandalorian is the dumbest of everyone. He's a complete and total idiot. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you can counter these points, if you can counter the tracking file problem, if you can convince me that this writing in this show and the character development in this show isn't complete and utter garbage, I'm open to hear it. Lay it on me. I'd love to hear it. But I don't think it can be done. I don't think you can argue against these points. They're so in your face. They're so blatant. And here's the Mandalorian dilemma. Here's what I think has happened. Is that Star Wars is in such a state as a whole. You know, the film franchise and the whole thing. It's in such a bad place that I think Star Wars fans are looking at the Mandalorian, and because it does manage to capture some of that Star Wars feeling, and I felt that in the first 3 episodes. It was there and it was palpable, and I enjoyed that, you know, until I really started to see the cracks and the problems and realize the whole premise of the thing is it's just broken beyond belief, and the main character cannot be respected. Nothing he does makes any sense. But the problem is, I think fans are afraid to not praise this show for fear that it could be the end of Disney will just throw its hands in the air and be like, forget it. Obviously, we can't make fans happy. We can't bring in a new audience, and we're just going to let it die. But I don't think it's a valid fear. Disney has invested way too much money, okay? And when it comes to Disney Star Wars,
there are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
I really believe that. It's like the architect, okay, in the Matrix. It's like, yeah, you know, it would be bad for us to let Star Wars go silent for a while, but we're Disney. We have more money than most countries will ever have access to. They have the time, they have the resources to wait it out. All they have to do is survive. All they have to do is keep it barely breathing and alive. They've invested all that money into their theme park stuff with Star Wars. They can fix this over time. They can build it back up. Disney's in it for the long game. I don't think fans need to praise this show, even when it's terrible, for fear that Star Wars is just going to go away or something. It's not necessary. And if you praise something that is this bad, just because you're afraid, you know, it'll be the end of Star Wars if we don't, I think that's a bad call, because it sets a precedent that this is the level they can be at, that they could just throw this at us and it's good enough. And it's not. This is terrible. So they could do better. They have all the money in the world. They have access to the best talent in the world. And if they just grew some balls and took some risks and actually tried to tell a great story, we could have amazing Star Wars. And I'm not going to praise this garbage. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, which is probably doubtful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.